Technology has certainly made raking leaves a lot simpler. With this vacuum sack, I can literally vacuum up the leaves, chew them into very fine particles before I add them to my compost heap. And composting is what we're talking about today. How to turn ordinary organic matter like leaves and grass clippings, even kitchen refuse, into black, rich, organic humus. Good stuff for the garden. Now here's an interesting device. This is called a compost tumbler, and it's one of many such devices that have been invented to facilitate the making of compost. What we do is we put our biodegradable materials in here, our leaves, lawn clippings, and whatnot, and then we can aerate it and mix it thoroughly by spinning it. Of course, we've got these nicely chewed up leaves. Composting is a very natural process, and it simply involves the decomposition of organic materials. Now, leaves are very high in carbon, and in order to get the decomposition to work just right, we need to add some nitrogen. We can do that with nitrogen-rich materials, or we can simply add a little ordinary garden fertilizer that's high in nitrogen. And then we've got to introduce the bacteria and the fungi, the microorganisms that will actually start the decomposition process. And we introduce them by adding ordinary topsoil. Once we've got all the ingredients in there, we put the lid back on, give it a good spin to mix it thoroughly, and we wait. It's been aerated. Every week or two we can come out and turn it, and in a few months we'll have thick, black, rich humus. Good stuff for the garden. But let me show you another way to make compost. This is the kind of thing that most people think of when you say compost. A heap of rotting vegetation. And it's a good thing. But remember that it's got to be kept moist. It's got to be kept aerated. Composting involves aerobic decomposition, that is, with oxygen. And of course, in order for it to decompose well, we've got to have alternating layers of high nitrogen products like young green plants, and then layers of high carbon products like dead leaves. And then we add to that some topsoil. This is old sawdust. We'll top this off with some topsoil, a little fertilizer, we'll water it, and we'll stir it once every few weeks to keep it oxygenated. And next spring, we'll have some rich black gold for the garden. Another way to compost is to put it where you want it in the first place. This is the way my father did it, and I do it this way as well. I simply dig a wastebasket size hole in the vegetable garden and put in my organic matter. Remember, chop it up into small pieces if you can, it'll decompose faster. And then cave in the sides of the hole, cover it up. And then put in another layer of organic matter. In the process of doing this, your hole gets wider and wider, and your organic matter comes closer and closer to the surface. And don't forget all that kitchen junk you've saved up in this bucket. Everything from the kitchen, excluding bones and scraps of meat and fat, should go into the garden. If it's biodegradable, it goes into the vegetable garden. And then cover it up, and by next year, you won't be able to find even one eggshell in here. It'll all decompose and become part of the soil complex. It's the easy way to compost. How quickly organic matter decomposes and becomes humus varies with the temperature, the moisture, and the actual particle size of the materials. But after a good period of time, you're going to have humus. Rich, black, good-smelling organic matter. This not only supplies nutrients to your garden, but it improves the aeration and drainage of the soil as well. And it supplies antibiotics that can actually help your plants fend off disease. Compost, great stuff, black gold for your garden.